Hey everybody, this is HD.
And this is Pain User.
And we're back, man, for the IPL. This is the second game between In Control and VTSpades here in the round of 16. And last game, Pain User, man, In Control just got knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really say it wasn't really his bad. That was his game to lose, I'd say. He had an outstanding early lead. He had an economic lead going into the mid game. And then I think he tried to force the win in a situation where I feel like he was way ahead in tech. He had just taken his third. They both took their thirds at relatively the same time, but In Control was starting to mass up those Colossus with 2 robotics facilities.
Well, I mean, he kind of jumped that tech after the DTs failed.
Yeah, which is okay, is if the Terran player lets you get away with it, which he did. He got away with it. Yeah. But then he tried to push with 3 Colossus when he had 2 robos pumping Colossus at the same time. So if you really think about that, if he had waited for 2 minutes, he could have pushed with like 7 Colossus. And that is a big difference.
Big difference. I mean, not just the in terms of macro aspect, how he kind of made a poor decision. He was grabbing 2 Nexuses at the same time. He was pushing out one of the goal and one of the backside, while the Terran player Spades was only grabbing 1. So really, he had invested money into a Nexus, which could have been more Zealots or something. On top of that, his micro in that battle a little bit faltering, kind of pulling the Colossus back and not attacking with them, which really hurts your army's firepower.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulling those Colossus back when he tried to micro them a little bit to the right and down, and them not firing for at least 2 volleys. Yeah, that makes such a big difference.
Yeah, so that's basically, he laid great force fields down, but it kind of costed him the game. VTSpades able to take out that army, push forward, and end the game. So here we are on Metalopolis. In Control has chosen this map, and what are your predictions, man?
Well, I mean, after a game like that, you could see In Control revert back to his old ways a little bit. Maybe try some cheese out. He could try and do this. He could try and do the same thing.
He says, "No, man, I'm in control. I'm gonna take control of this game. I'm gonna cheese you."
In Control is not in control right now. He's down 0-1. God, we could just run for that with that forever.
We could make jokes about that from here until we die.
Yeah. In Control does go for the gas steal again. I'm a proponent of this. I think anytime a Protoss player gets the chance, I'm a fan of them taking your gas. It just gives them so much intel, and it really forces that early command center. So
absolutely,
they can play off you at that point.
Yeah,
they know what you're up to.
Well, they know you can't tech up,
right?
Until you kill the assimilator, which takes a certain amount of time, anyways. And
takes forever.
Look at this, Pain User. We do. Hey, it looks like a prediction, man. Spot on. In Control is going to be throwing up a little proxy pylon out here, away from the natural. And what do you think we're going to see? I mean, it could be some kind of preparation for a 4-gate.
Well, he might just be putting that pylon up early on in the game just to have it there, because that's a great location to have a pylon regardless. So he might just be doing that very early on, and then hopefully, you know, Spades doesn't check that area. Maybe he forgets about it.
Well, he most likely won't check. I mean, it's all the way tucked in the back, so it's very safe. Oh, look at this! We have a Stargate coming up. This is about to get dirt nasty.
Yeah, so given the position, that's definitely not going to be Phoenix's. He's going to try and get a Void Ray right to the front of the Terran wall as soon as possible. I've had people do this to me on these positions. A lot of times people would think, well, hey, why don't you just put the Stargate in your main? It's close air spawn anyway, but what he wants to do is get that Stargate right to the front, and he wants to end the game with this initial push.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on top of that, if you build a Stargate here, you kind of have to run around and then go to this ramp, which in a few minutes, this ramp is about to be the location where all the conflict is about to occur.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is terrible for Spades because he's already built 2 Marauders and he has a Reaper coming out. For those of you who don't know, none of those units can shoot air. He does have 1 Marine that's already come out that's on the field, but that's not going to be enough to stop a Void Ray. You need a squad of Marines, at least, you know, that 4 can do it, but you want 6 to 10. And it looks like Spades trying to get some scouting information with that Reaper, but it does get taken out. All he spots is a Cybernetics core and a single gateway and a single pylon, which I can tell you as a Terran player means absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Spades is playing in the dark.
The rest of the buildings could be anywhere else. It could be a standard, you know, 2 gateways hidden here and the Nexus going up here. So you're right. Spades right now is playing blind. He's got a blindfold on him. It's like he's playing pin the tail on the donkey, and he doesn't know where the donkey is. So he's in a lot of trouble. The Void Ray has come out, and actually In Control is gonna wait for a second Void Ray, and he's already got Warp Gate up. He's warping Stalkers in. And oh man, it's a 1 gate plus 1 Stargate, basically kind of all in aggression And Spades still has no idea. Thankfully, he has a bunker, but still no Marines, man.
Yeah, he's slowly building up his Marine count, but as you said, the donkey is about to come knocking on his front door. There's one Void Ray out, there's 4 Stalkers, 5 Stalkers now in a Zealot. Second Void Ray comes out, so it looks like In Control is going to try and charge up on this pylon
How
here.
How smart is that, man?
Oh, and he cancels the charge.
Oh, but then recharges, but
Doesn't
get it up to the full charge, so that could be a little bit of a blunder. Here we go, though. Gonna try to work out this bunker, and a bunch of SCVs coming off for Space. Spades now knows this is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Mass repairing that bunker, wants to keep that alive no matter what. Void Ray is switching over to the supply depot. He's definitely going to be able to take that out. It's not going to supply cap Spades, however. And what In Control needs to do right now is either commit 100% to the front, or he needs to commit to the back of the middle line.
Oh, his Void Ray almost gets picked off there. Shields were depleted down and in the red. Falls back just in time. Nice micro by In Control. And he's still trying to take out this bunker. He knows this bunker is crucial. If he can kill this bunker, his Stalkers have free reign to get inside the main.
Yeah, absolutely. The bunker is crucial. It is preventing In Control from getting into the main, and I love the positioning of the bunker with the 2 supply depots, making it so he can't run by and just go straight into the main, and it looks like In Control is going to try and work on the back of the mineral line here. This is a terrible situation to be in. There's no turret up in the mineral line. He only has this pack of Marines. Looks like he's going to try and pick off another one of these Void Rays, getting one of them pretty low there, but still, Stim just finishing, so now he has Stim. If those Void Rays overcommit, he will be able to pick a few of them off. And
absolutely.
Keep in mind, he has the 2 orbitals, so losing a few SCVs here, not the biggest deal in the world. He can replenish his SCV count, and he has the double mule, so really all he has to do is hold this off, and he's in a great position.
And here we go, some of the Marauders stimming, showing now that the Marines and the infantry do have stim capable, so if Spades hits the stim at the right moment, if he can pick off a couple of these Void Rays, that should spell doom for In Control's push. And In Control here, the longer this takes, the further behind he falls, I feel like, because really he's up against 2 command centers constantly pumping out SCVs, and oh, look at this, In Control actually throwing up a Nexus, so it's not all in.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I feel like if you're going to do a strategy like this, and he only did it off of how many warp gates?
One warp gate and Stargate.
I think he had 2. I think he had 1 hidden over here. Yeah, so
okay.
he only had 2 though. But 2, if you're gonna do, honestly, a lot of players who do this Void Ray rush, especially Koreans, like in GSL for instance, a lot of times they will do for a 4 gate 1 Stargate, and they'll just be real aggressive. They'll get a ton of gateway units out, sentries, zealots, and they will just break the front. They will force a win.
Absolutely.
And if you're gonna do a strategy like this, it's really a good idea to force the win, because now he's got these 4 Void Rays, which, I mean, really aren't going to mix into his army all that well.
Absolutely
and he's got a bunch of Stalkers. He doesn't have all those early sentries because he spent the gas on the Void Rays, so he's not building up all that crucial force field energy and that Guardian Shield energy, and I feel like that's really going to hurt him in the mid and late game.
I mean, not to mention, he's basically given up on this attack. He's fallen back. He said, okay, I'm going to grab my Nexus, I'm going to play a macro game. But you have to wonder, with this opening, did he do enough damage? And I think the answer is no. And I think VTSpades here has the advantage. Well, if we pull the income tab up, In Control does have a little bit more harvesters. And if we pull the army tab up, I guess In Control isn't too far. I guess he's not too far behind. It may be actually a pretty even game at this point. We'll see how it plays out, but I honestly, I do know for a fact this Stargate is basically unusable now for a good portion of the game. As soon as it gets discovered, it's going to go down.
Well, I would say In Control is maybe a little bit ahead, but again, the problem is he's again teching directly up to Colossus. He only added a 3rd gateway just recently, so he's not going to have that ball of gateway units with good upgrades as a backbone, and I think that's so important for Protoss players, especially in today's TVP metagame stage, this day and age. You need those early upgrades from the Forge. You've got to start getting those armor upgrades right away, and you need at least, you know, on 2 base, 3 to 5 gateways, pumping out those gateway units, and that allows you to safely take an early 3rd, and then you can start pumping out those Colossus. You have so much gas coming at that point, it doesn't really matter what you do. And then you have good upgrades, you have a solid gateway unit base, and then also having more gateways allows you to reinforce your army much quicker. And when you see the Terran pushing out across the map, you can start chrono boosting all your gateways, and you can get out 2 cycles of units. And then by the time the fight goes down, you have 8 gateways that have produced 2 cycles of units. So you're going to be in such such a pretty situation for the next fight. You're going to be about 15 supply ahead, 10 supply ahead.
It almost seems like you're saying how In Control should be playing this game.
Well, no.
But he doesn't have the gateway count that you're mentioning right now. He's only got a couple.
He's playing for the absolute late game. He has those 4 Void Rays already out. Those are great high gas late game units.
Absolutely.
He has a Colossus tech on the way. He's getting that range. He's just now adding his forges, and he's added 3 forges here. He has 2 forges at his natural, 1 forge in his main. It looks like he's going to be going for triple upgrades here, but
good lord,
I would much rather get 1 forge earlier and start those armor upgrades right away.
You know, since he's playing for the super late game, that makes him vulnerable to some kind of a mid game push. I feel like
absolutely
he's gonna have Void Rays and Colossus, which that's a great Protoss Deathball against Zerg, man. But if VTSpades starts pumping out a ton of Vikings, which we are seeing 3 Vikings on the way, out of 2 reactored starports, Void Ray Colossus is not the best combination against Vikings, man. And Spades here, I mean, if he attacks, I think In Control should be in a lot of trouble. In Control is actually gearing up to get a 3rd down here at the 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's nothing he can do with the Void Rays at this point. He's not making any more. They're just mixed into his army after that initial rush.
He's actually making Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix Colossus, on the other hand, is an amazing unit composition. If you can max out with Phoenix Colossus, they work wonders.
Well, they're quite good against tanks.
Well, not only are they great against tanks, they just eat up a lot of the Viking hits, and they chop down the Vikings during the battle. And if you can keep the Colossus alive and retain air supremacy with the Phoenix, then after the fight is all said and done, you can just pick up tons of units with the Phoenix, and the Colossus can just bleed through the Marines, and the Marines are really the only anti-air that you have once the Vikings are dead.
Absolutely.
Basically, they just give the Vikings a really hard time, and they add a whole bunch of air units into the fray. But Spades now has his Ghosts out. He's going to be able to land some EMPs, and even though there are no Templar on the field, I cannot stress this enough, Ghosts are still absolutely amazing units. Even if your opponent does not have Templar or Storm, they get rid of all the shields and that essential force field energy and guardian shield energy if you can hit those
especially since Protoss units always ball up into a little tight compact ball. Beautiful for Ghost to EMP. So, you know, I think right now Pain User, we're waiting to see In Control. I think In Control's thinking, I'm gonna make a timing attack when my 1-1-1 finishes. I mean, he's got his forge here that just finished. This forge is actually, both these forges are finishing up weapons and armor, and maybe In Control, I don't know, man, his army is just, I just don't know if it's big enough to deal with this. It's gonna certainly be a good battle, and it's gonna come down to the landing the EMPs on this Protoss ball, which In Control is so happily balling them up. I mean, when Spade sees this, he's gonna be like, oh, thank you. It's like a gift wrap present for Christmas, and he's gonna land those EMPs on. He might even be able to go in with these Vikings and pick off some of these crucial units, and he's gonna land a couple of volleys on those Void Rays and whittling down that Protoss army so huge. And look at this concave over to In Control, who does not have a concave, landing the force fields down. This could be bad, Pain User.
Yeah, this is terrible for him. He's control firing the Colossus with the Vikings. The first 2 Colossus go down immediately, and there is just way too much on the ground from Spades for In Control to deal with. With those Colossus out of the picture, the Bio can just reign supreme. Cutting down those Void Rays are the Marines. The Stalkers are getting cleaned up, and I think that's game.
That is game. Good game. In Control, man, going, like you said, for the super duper late game.
Yeah.
Uber early Nexus, it just, he never had enough to fund an actual army, man. He forgot StarCraft. It's not just a game about economy, it's also a game about getting your army out.
Well, yeah, not only that, like, going back to what I said earlier, In Control's sitting at 1455 minerals right now, and he could have invested that 1400 into 3 or 4 more gateways earlier on, translated the rest of that money into Zealots, Stalkers, Sentries. He could have spent that 500 gas on more gateway units. Could have added those 2 forges earlier and started chronoing out upgrades as opposed to going to 3 forge and trying to get all 3 upgrade tables. I mean,
In Control needs someone to manage his money, man. He needs a money manager.
I saw where In Control was going with that, and I think he would have been in an outstanding position in the late game. But
Spades made that attack, man.
Spades pushed at the perfect time. I mean, he saw his opportunity. He sent those Vikings in early, picked off that Void Ray, got a few pod shots off on the Colossus, and then he was able to just take that battle handily.